Tributes to a master of the dark art of painting, Louisiana's flamboyant festival traditions, and a high-tech way to follow in Tintin's footsteps. That's all coming up in today's show. First, Conjuring Light from the darkness. Pierre Soulages was renowned for his use of the colour black. His death at 102 years old closes a key chapter in the history of French abstract art, leaving an important legacy at his museum in Rodez and in collections around the world. Clémence Waller takes a look back at the life and work of this unique artist.
Born in southern France in 1919, Pierre Soulages was obsessed by black and dark colours since childhood. Influenced by prehistoric cave paintings, he would dedicate his life to exploring the light in the darkness.
It was to point out that the question was not the color, the question was the light, the fact that it gave way to something else.
Over the decades following the war, he gained international recognition, making an impression particularly in the US, with works featured in major exhibits in the 1950s, including in New York's Museum of Modern Art in 1955. However, in 1979, Pierre Soulages made a discovery that would follow him for the rest of his career, quite by accident.
I was painting, and I'd covered my entire canvas with black paint. And I felt I'd ruined the painting, but I continued, and I came to realize I was working not with black, but rather with light.
Known as outre noir, or beyond black, Soulages developed paintings that were usually pure black, with the paint then scraped at with knives and paintbrushes, like in sculptures. Realizing that the paint was a reflective surface rather than just one color, he felt the light reflecting off of his surfaces helped create a new mental space. A prolific artist until the end, the French painter would produce over 1,500 pieces during his career, with a retrospective dedicated to his works in the Louvre in 2019 to mark his 100th birthday, a rare honor for a then-living artist.
Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, Van Gogh's Sunflowers and Monet's Grain Stacks. They're all iconic paintings, and despite stylistic differences, they have another thing in common. These works have all been targeted recently by climate activists. Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring is the latest masterpiece in the spotlight after protesters in the Netherlands glued themselves to the painting. Catherine Kidir-Clifford tells us more about these high-profile stunts.
The time for words has moved to the time for action.
Smearing pie and cake over the statue of King Charles III at Madame Tussauds. This was an activism stunt by the Just Stop Oil Group.
The science is clear.
A day earlier, Monet's Grain Stacks, worth 76 million euros, was covered with mashed potato, this time at a German museum.
We are in the middle of a climate catastrophe, and the only thing we are afraid of is tomato soup or potato on a painting.
A week before, activists threw tomato soup at Van Gogh's Sunflowers, worth 40 million euros, at London's National Gallery, repeating the same message. Their extreme methods received a mixed reaction from those visiting the Louvre in Paris.
It's going to attract attention, but not in a good way.
Vandalising a work of art which itself is not at fault, it's excessive.
I'm not sure what art has to do with the subject, or that the subject has much to do with art.
Major works were hit. It makes the message more powerful.
I hope they keep going. I wish them the courage to do so.
This French climate activist backs the radical action.
Given that people clearly don't seem to be giving much thought to the fact that it's 20 degrees in Paris in October and 35 degrees in the south, maybe targeting things which people are more affected by, maybe art, famous paintings, it has the power to make people more aware of this fight and its urgency.
France hasn't escaped the tactics. In June, the Mona Lisa was smeared with cream. No damage was made to this masterpiece or the others, thanks to protective glass panes.
To the deep south of the United States now, thanks to an exhibition that uncovers a lesser-known part of the cultural landscape of Louisiana. Black Indians explores the creativity of the African-American and indigenous communities through parades and celebrations. It's on show at the Quai Branly Museum here in Paris. Julien Sauvager and Jenny Shin went to check it out.
The New Orleans Mardi Gras, a yearly event known for its music, parades, and extravagant costumes. But behind the festivities lies a serious message. The carnival is an opportunity to speak out against the injustice that's felt across the United States. Early Afro-Americans used the event to rebel against slavery and segregation laws. The term Black Indians is one of solidarity that refers to the equally oppressed Native Americans.
The idea of being an Indian emerged with the meeting of the Native American people and the enslaved Africans. They took advantage of the imposition of Catholicism with its liturgical calendar to be able to celebrate themselves, their gods, and to also to resist the oppression that they were facing through an expression of their creativity.
As years went by, costumes became more and more colorful and complex. The Big Chief's costume can take up to a year to complete.
To become a big chief, you have to have certain qualities that are important for your community. The title must be passed on from father to son, but you must be socially involved and look over your community.
Mardi Gras is also a cathartic way of chasing away troubles from the past and addressing difficulties in today's society. Festival goers become free behind the mask, liberated from the colors of their skin that's shaped a painful history.
This stuff is medicinal. It's to say that, hey man, I don't have enough money to go to therapy and psychology. I'm being brutalized in every way possible. Doesn't matter where I go in the world, people are gonna look and react to me differently. I know it, I see it in their face. I can't fix that, I just gotta fix me first. I have to do that. So showing and sharing love in that way means that I'm concerned about all of us.
Since Hurricane Katrina, Mardi Gras has seen a resurgence in popularity. After New Orleans was battered by the storm, residents have banded closer in solidarity. And at the heart of it all, the Black Indian tradition that continues to live on in vivacious spirit.
Now to a character who's ventured to many exotic locations around the globe, but it's his first time at this venue, the Atelier des Lumières. The Belgian boy reporter is the star of Tintin, the immersive adventure. It transports a new generation of fans into his comic book escapades. Nicholas Rushworth and our sister channel France 2 have the story.
On a rocket heading for the moon, or on the ocean floor searching for treasure, Tintin is on show as never before in an immersive digital experience at the Atelier des Lumières Digital Art Centre in Paris. His fans are delighted.
Tintin for me is like a living person who had real adventures.
It's great to see Tintin in a different context.
The images change a lot. We don't always have time to remember the different stories.
The digital show lasts a little over half an hour and celebrates one of the world's favourite comic books, which has had sales of more than 270 million copies. The comic book hero was dreamt up and drawn by the Belgian cartoonist Georges Remy, who used the pen name Hergé. He died in 1983.
Tintin will have no more comic book adventures, at least not now. That was what Hergé wanted. I think that he completed the series. We don't have any intention at all of making a new comic book.
All 24 of Hergé's comic books were digitalized for the show, and images projected on floors and walls covering 5,000 square meters. A major technical feat.
It took about a year's work. Around 30 people were involved in what was a combined team effort. We hope it can be used for several years to come.
Captain Haddock, Professor Calculus, Thomson and Thomson, Tintin and Snowy are still entertaining 93 years after the first adventure came out.
We're wrapping up the show with a dynamic dance show rooted in myths and legends from around the world, infused with some philosophical ideas as well. Choreographer Angelin Prélocage created mythologies with music from Thomas Bangalter, who's one half of the Daft Punk duo. The action there takes us from Amazonian warriors to the Garden of Eden. That's on at the Théâtre du Châtelet here in Paris. We'll leave you with a preview. Remember, you can get more arts and culture on our website. We're on social media too. There's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.